That Porsche sitting in your garage, the one you check on like a sleeping baby, sell it. You heard me right? Yes, you'll regret it forever, and that's exactly why you need to let it go. Every morning, you walk past it. Your heart does that little skip, the way the light hits those curves, the promise of what could happen if you just turn the key. But here's the thing nobody talks about at Cars and Coffee. Owning perfection is exhausting. You know this already. You've been to the grocery store parking lot, circling 3 times to find the end spot where nobody can door ding you. You've watched the weather forecast not to plan your weekend, but to decide if the car even leaves the garage. You've done the math on those Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires that cost $650 each for the rears, and you know they'll last maybe 8,000 miles if you're lucky. Think about it, you're paying insurance on a museum piece. The average American pays around $2,700 a year to insure a sports car, and yours probably costs more than that. For what exactly? 4,000 miles a year if you're typical, maybe less if you're honest. That works out to about 67 cents per mile just in insurance, before you even think about gas, tires, or that annual service that somehow always ends up north of $1,500. Your 911 holds value better than almost any car on the planet. The data shows it loses about 17 to 20% over 5 years, while your neighbor's BMW is down 32%. Incredible, right? Except that's still $20,000 gone on a $100,000 car. $20,000 that could be working for you instead of slowly evaporating in your climate-controlled garage. The stock market has averaged about 10% returns annually over the long term. Park that Porsche money in an index fund for 5 years, and you're looking at potentially $60,000 in growth instead of $20,000 in depreciation. But no, we keep these cars because maybe, just maybe, ours is the special one that goes up in value. Except it probably won't. Porsche built 51,000 911s last year alone. 51,000. Your car isn't rare. It's not going to be the next $1 million auction star. Even the GT3s and turbos that everyone swears are investments barely keep pace with inflation unless you landed something truly special. And let's be honest, if you had one of those, you wouldn't be reading this. You'd be at Amelia Island making rich friends. Here's what really happens. You start treating the car like your grandfather's china, too precious to actually use. Remember when you first got it? You drove everywhere. Midnight runs to nowhere. Early morning canyon carves. Now you check the weather app, inspect the route for construction zones, and worry about stone chips. The average 911 owner drives 4,100 miles per year. That's 11 miles per day. 11. You could walk that. You're essentially paying to maintain a very expensive paperweight that occasionally makes nice noises. They tell you a Porsche is different. It's not just a car, it's an experience, a lifestyle, a statement. And sure, when that flat six fires up, when you heel toe perfectly into a decreasing radius turn, when some kid gives you a thumbs up at a red light, it feels special. But you know what else is true? You spend more time thinking about the IMS bearing than driving. You've memorized every forum post about bore scoring. You know exactly which years had which problems, and you can recite the PDK service intervals like scripture. 12 years or 180,000 kilometers at the dealer, though every independent shop says to do it sooner. The truth nobody posts on Instagram. Most of your Porsche ownership is anxiety. Is that a new rattle? Why does the clutch feel different today? Should you change the oil at 5,000 miles instead of 10,000 just to be safe? Was that guy following you too closely in the parking garage? You've gone from driver to curator, and curators don't have much fun. And yet, the car is magnificent. Of course it is. Nothing else steers like a 911. Nothing else sounds like it. The way the weight transfers, the way it hunkers down in a corner, the the way it makes you feel like a better driver than you really are. All true. Also true, you could rent one for a track day whenever you want and have more fun in one afternoon than you've had in the last 6 months of ownership. Let's talk about what's actually happening in the world while you're polishing your door handles. The EU has mandated zero emissions for new cars by 2035. Low-emission zones are spreading across every major city. There are over 320 of them now, projected to hit 500 within 2 years. Even if they grandfather in existing cars, and that's a big if, you think insurance companies and governments won't find ways to make ICE ownership increasingly painful? They're already doing it. Registration fees, parking restrictions, access limitations. The walls are closing in slowly but surely. Meanwhile, your car sits there eating money. Tires that need replacing every 2 years, whether you drive it or not, because they age out. Brake fluid that absorbs moisture just sitting there. Battery tenders, dehumidifiers, car covers, detail spray, all the little things that add up to hundreds of dollars a month to maintain something you barely use. You're subsidizing a fantasy. Want to know something uncomfortable? That 20-year-old who just got their first real job and leased a base Boxster is having more fun than you are. They're actually driving it, daily, in the rain, with bird poop on the hood. They're using their Porsche while you're preserving yours. Who's really winning here? Here's what happens when you sell it. First week, you'll walk into the garage and feel that punch in the gut. Empty space where greatness used to live. Second week, you'll hear a flat 6 in traffic, and your neck will snap around like a prairie dog. Third week, you'll catch yourself browsing the classifieds at night. This is all normal. This is the process. But then month 2 arrives. You realize you haven't checked the weather app once. You park wherever at the grocery store. You stop mentally calculating depreciation every time you see the odometer. That insurance payment doesn't hit your account. You take that money and do something else with it. Maybe you rent a GT3 for a track weekend. Maybe you fly to Germany and drive the Nürburgring in someone else's car. Maybe you just pay off debt like a responsible adult. You know what's crazy? You'll actually drive more interesting cars after you sell. Without the anxiety of ownership, you become adventurous again. You'll rent that new Cayman GT4 RS just to see what the fuss is about. You'll do a driving experience in a McLaren. You'll take a road trip in something completely different. Maybe an old Land Cruiser or a Miata. And remember that driving joy isn't exclusively flat 6 shaped. The fear of missing out gets replaced by the freedom of missing out. You chose to walk away from the burden. That takes strength. Most people can't do it. They're trapped by their toys, owned by their possessions. But not you. You figured out the game. Regret isn't failure. Regret is evidence. Evidence that you had something worth having, that you made choices that mattered, that you lived a life interesting enough to have things worth missing. You think your grandfather didn't regret selling that Chevelle? Of course he did. He also raised a family, built a career, and had adventures that didn't require checking tire pressure first. 10 years from now, you'll be at a barbecue, and someone will ask about cars. You'll mention the Porsche you used to have. Your eyes will go distant for a second. You'll remember that one perfect morning drive, the way the boost hit at 4,000 RPM, the smell of the leather on hot days, and then you'll smile and change the subject, because you'll also remember the freedom that came after. The trips you took with the money, the stress you didn't carry, the experiences you chose over ownership. Some people need to own the dream. They need the keys in their pockets, the car in their garage, the theoretical possibility of the perfect drive, always available even if they never take it. That's fine. That's them. But maybe that's not you anymore. Maybe you've realized that access beats ownership, that experiences beat possessions, that stories beat stuff. You know what the real secret is? The Porsche was never about the Porsche. It was about who you thought you'd be when you owned it. The version of you who'd take long drives every weekend, who'd master every back road, who'd actually use the performance. But that person and the real you have different lives. The real you has responsibilities, obligations, practicalities. The real you checks tire tread depth and worries about depreciation. The real you turned a dream into a duty. Selling isn't giving up. Selling is growing up. It's acknowledging that the fantasy and the reality diverged somewhere along the way. Your Porsche deserves an owner who will drive it, really drive it, not preserve it like a mummy. And you deserve to stop feeling guilty every sunny Saturday when you choose not to take it out because you just washed it or the pollen count is high or whatever excuse sounds reasonable this week. The market's decent right now. Not amazing, not terrible, just decent. Porsche delivered over 310,000 cars globally last year. 50,000 of them were 911s. Demand is solid if you detail it properly, document the service history, price it realistically based on actual comparables, not wishful thinking. You'll get a fair number. Not what you hope, not what you think it's worth, but what the market says it's worth. And that's enough. Take the money. Feel the weight lift off your shoulders. Yes, you'll miss it. You'll miss it at stoplights when you hear that sound. You'll miss it watching racing videos on YouTube. You'll miss it when you see another one in that same color combo. Good. That means it mattered. Things that don't matter don't hurt to lose. But you won't miss the anxiety. You won't miss the mental math. You won't miss choosing between experiences because the car payment needs to be made. You won't miss the subtle prison of owning something too nice to use normally. You'll gain more than you lose, even if it takes time to feel that way. So do it. List the car. Take the meetings. Let serious buyers drive it while you white-knuckle the passenger seat one last time. Hand over the keys. Watch it drive away with someone else behind the wheel. Someone whose dream is fresh, whose enthusiasm hasn't been beaten down by reality yet. Feel that pang in your chest. That's not weakness, that's humanity. Then go live your actual life. The one where you're present instead of worried. Where you're experiencing instead of preserving. Where you're choosing adventures instead of avoiding door dings. One day, maybe, when it makes sense again, when the life you're living has room for that kind of joy without that kind of burden, you'll buy another one. Or you won't. Both outcomes are perfectly fine. The regret is proof you lived it. The sale is proof you're still living.